Hey there everybody, it's Mark Crilly. I'm here with a message to my subscribers video, and we're going to begin with not a question but a challenge. It comes from Yusa-chan Cupcakes, or is it maybe USA-chan Cupcakes? The challenge is this. A challenge for you, Mark. Draw Miki upside down, please. And this kind of captured my imagination. I thought, boy, I wonder if I can do that. So that's what I'm going to be doing while I talk to you and answer some of your questions today. Trying to draw a picture of Miki, main character from my graphic novel series, Miki Falls. Trying to draw her upside down. And I thought I would have a sort of a grassy backdrop here. So I'm kind of putting that in first. Upside down. Dude, can you do it? So this will be sort of working without a tightrope here today to see if I can pull this off. But here's the first real question, and the question comes from Isaac Sun, 1974. What I want to ask is, how do you prefer your work to be, black and white or color, or just simply line work? That's a great question, and you know, the funny answer is, over time, I have come to prefer black and white, I have to say. In a lot of ways, black and white is my preference. Although, of course, you know, my work involves doing color front covers and stuff like that, so I need to be able to work in color. I enjoy seeing my own work in color, but I think what comes most naturally to me is to work in black and white. And I can't explain why that is. I think part of it is that when you are working in just black and white, you can focus on the drawing, the composition, all these different things, and the whole problem of color is just taken out of the equation. And maybe it's just easier for me to focus when I know that all I'm going to be doing is doing the black and white. But I think my best artwork, in general, is my black and white stuff, and that's why I do all of my all of my comics in black and white. Actually, that comes from the necessities of the publishing world, that it's so expensive to print something in full color that it generally, you will generally be asked to do it in black and white. So it works out nicely all the way around. But that was a great question, and let me move on to the next one. This one comes from Ruochen, I think it's a Chinese name, R-U-O-C-H-E-N, Wu, or Wu, I think is actually how that's pronounced. And here's the question. I was wondering if your parents supported your manga dreams when you were younger. That's a great question, and I know that a lot of creative people, whether it's artists or actors or whatever, that they are doing this in spite of their parents. You know, they maybe have some conservative parents who are against the idea of them doing this, and they have to sort of fight against that. And I was lucky. I had very supportive parents who I think knew that I was going to pursue an artistic life. They sort of understood that from a young age, and they encouraged me. So I was very lucky that way, and I have to imagine anyone who's fighting against their own parents in terms of, what they want to do in life, that's just got to be an added complication. It's hard enough to get work when you're trying to do something creative for a living, but, when your parents don't want you to be doing that, adds an emotional strain on top of that. So if you have that situation where you want to be an artist and your parents, for good reasons, I mean, they want you to have a reliable financial life or whatever. Generally, it is not out of meanness, it's out of concern for your well-being. If you have that situation, then my heart goes out to you, because it is it's tough enough to pursue this as a job, but if your parents are not supporting you, if you're having to fight against them and sort of rebel against them to pursue this, that's got to make it even tougher. Here is my next question. Comes from Otaku L Des. Otaku Eru Des. Sounds like Japanese there. Mark, your job is to draw, right? So I was wondering if it ruins your enjoyment of art or if it makes you love it even more. That's a great question, and I know that for some people they worry that if they take the thing that they love to do and change it from something that they're kind of just doing for fun and turn it into their full-time job, that they fear that that's going to ruin the joy of it. And that's certainly a possibility. I can certainly imagine where, you know, you really loved doing something and then suddenly it's your job and you have to worry about whether it's going to make you money and so forth. And you can say, man, I kind of wish that I had never made this my job because it was so much easier when no one was paying me. I had complete freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. In my case, however, I have never had that situation. Always wanted it to be my job, and now that it is my job, I love it. Because I do have quite a lot of freedom, and if I didn't have it as my job, very few people would be seeing what it is that I'm doing, right? I mean, they would it would all be just sort of showing it to friends and stuff. Part of the doing something as your job is many people get to see it, and that's a huge motivating factor for me. I think I talked about that in a previous video, that you know, I'm kind of a showman in terms of the way, in terms of my art. I want people to see it. I want to have an audience. And so those things kind of go hand in hand. And I've been very lucky that my, you know, my career has allowed me to do pretty much anything that I want to do. I haven't had a whole lot of constraints of people monkeying around, or I call it getting under the hood and trying to change what I do to turn it into something else. That happened on one of my books, I would say, in the past, and it wasn't a lot of fun, but it was probably a good experience for me to sort of have that give and take. I know people in the movie industry, boy, if you write a screenplay for a movie, good luck keeping it exactly the way you want it to be. I am told that in that industry in particular, you really have to be ready to have your vision tampered with, or it will never get to the big screen. Anyway, I'm straying from my topic here. I'm a little worried, boy, I hope this turns out well. I have never tried to draw Miki upside down before. Here's hoping it works out. Now, here is a question number 5 it must be. What will the main differences be between the first mastering manga book and the second one? Well, thank you for that question, and this one is related to the fact that I am beginning work on a second mastering manga book. For those of you who don't know that title, it is my how to draw book, my instructional how to draw in the manga style book, and I have been invited to do a second one, which is very exciting to me, and I am striving to make it different from the first in a lot of ways. And I can tell you a few of the things. First of all, generally speaking, it's a little bit of a step up in difficulty. It is not a sudden, drastically more difficult book, no. But there will be noticeably a bit more of a challenge in terms of what you're being taught to draw. Here's a couple of specifics of things that I intend to get into the book that weren't in the first book, and one of them is the worm's eye view, or the bird's eye view of human anatomy. Like you're looking down at someone's head from above, and in general, just those more difficult poses, right? The first book had a lot of these kind of standard, you know, I call it the police lineup, where someone's looking straight into the camera, that kind of thing. And the second book is going to have those as well, but I am striving to get some of the more unconventional, like I say, bird's eye view, worm's eye view, people seen from behind, different stuff like that. So that is another thing. Let's see, mouths and noses. I didn't really do a special section on that last time, so that's something that's going to be in this next book. What else? I made some notes here so I wouldn't forget. Glasses and facial hair. There will be at least one or 2 pages on that. How to draw hands step by step. I had a big section on hands, but there was no step by step in the first book. And so this book is going to actually have 1 or 2 different step-by-step how to draw hands things. There'll be more of an emphasis on how to design your own character, which I think is kind of a tricky thing to teach. But I am going to have a number of things that are sort of related to the process of designing, creating your own character. The backgrounds, last time I did a lot of perspective drawing stuff in which you were using a ruler and vanishing points, and everything was very geometric, very important if you want to learn to draw backgrounds. But I thought this time I would do more of like naturalistic backgrounds, like trees, I think I might do one that's like on a rainy day. A lot of people have requested that sort of an idea, you know, a wet surface or something like that to the ground. I thought I might do one of my classic post-apocalyptic desert kind of things. Why did they do it? Oh no, I'm going back to a previous video. But I am going to hopefully have the goal of that, again, to show a sort of a desert environment, but then also to get into drawing weathered surfaces and stuff like that. So basically, I did backgrounds, I did all these geometric perspective drawings in the first one. This time I want to get more into naturalistic, organic looking backgrounds, just to contrast things a little bit. Let's move on to question number 6. Whoa, this is a one-of-a-kind question. How would you respond if I came screaming like a fangirl to you in Target? I love that it's Target. It has to be Target. Like if it was Costco or some other place, I might respond differently. So, wow, so much to answer in that question. Well, number one, I would ask you to stop screaming because they might throw us out. And then, I don't know, I'd probably ask you know, what you had come there to buy, and maybe I could help you find it. How's that? I have never actually been recognized by anyone in public, pretty much. Well, one time. I was at the mall one time, and couple of girls came by and saw me drawing, and they're like, "Are you Mark Crowley?" So it did happen once. Who knows? Maybe they're even out there watching this video. If you are, post a comment. So let's go on to the next one. Number 7, are you proud of your own art? That's an interesting question. I had to think about it for a second. I don't know if I would say that I am super proud of my drawing abilities. I think one thing, you know, I get a lot of praise from people here on YouTube about my drawing. And, of course, that pleases me a lot. But, you know, if you look out into the world of illustrators and artists, you will quickly realize that my drawing abilities are, you know, pretty average. And I'm not just saying that to be, like, falsely modest or anything. That's just reality, you know. I mean, I can draw fairly well, but I am not one of these virtuosos. You know, again, like I say, it doesn't take long if you look into the world of real professional illustrators to find lots and lots of people who have a more distinctive style than I do, who draw, you know, just are better at drawing human anatomy, better in general. So I would not say that I'm super proud of my drawing abilities. To the degree that I am proud of anything, I'm kind of proud of certain sequences in my graphic novels, stories. I think some of the basic concepts, like the basic concept of Miki Falls, the world that is presented in that story is an interesting concept, and indeed, as some of you know, it was optioned for film production. We're still hoping, you know, keeping our fingers crossed to see if that actually comes to anything. I'm sort of proud of having come up with that concept, and the fact that, you know, that a film studio like Paramount and Brad Pitt's production company would put money behind that story, I think sort of confirms that it was an original idea and one that has a lot of potential. So I guess that's as far as I'm proud of anything. I may be proud of certain, like I said, little sequences in my stories. Every once in a while I'm able to build towards a certain moment with a twist to it, or, you know, a surprise. I like to think that my dialogue is pretty good. I have encountered criticism of that sometimes, that maybe it's not as good as I think it is. So there, that was an interesting question. Hard to answer without sounding... Hang on, I'm going to take a little break. I need to find my pencil sharpener. Okay, pencil sharpened, and back to work. But let's get to this next one. A whole series of questions here. And the questions are, have you ever been to the Calgary Stampede? Do you like Canada? Have you ever been to Osaka? Have you ever worn a yukata? And is it weird if one of your subscribers asks this many questions? Thank you so much for that whole series of questions. And the answers are no, yes, 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 and no, not at all. So you may have to hit the pause button to go back and connect the dots between my answers and the various questions. Let's move on here. This may be a weird video where I'm going to have to do some time-lapse at the end, because I'm not going to be done with my drawing. But I am going to keep it upside down, I promise. Holding to the challenge. Question number 9. How does negative/positive criticism affect your mindset? This is a great question. I think you should know that part of doing this for a living, any sort of a creative pursuit, you are going to get negative criticism. And I've gotten a little better over time at handling criticism, but it can still be pretty dispiriting, especially when it seems to be coming from someone who knows what they're talking about. You know what I mean? I remember a review of one of my books. I was talking about dialogue and how I kind of pride myself on my dialogue. And one of the customer reviews of one of my Akiko books early on, a customer review at Amazon, just deliberately trashed my dialogue. Said none of these people sound like real, actual human beings. Yeah, that. I remember that really bummed me out. That was one of the first pieces of negative, pretty harshly negative criticism. I mean, it wasn't that. The reviewer went on to say a lot of other things that really pretty much called into question, you know, this guy just doesn't have what it takes, or who told this guy he could write, you know, that level of criticism. And I do remember being pretty bummed out about that and having to kind of talk myself back up out of it and say, hey, look, I have a right, as much as anyone, to pursue this for a living, and I can't help it if I am not the second coming of J.K. Rowling. I'm doing my best, and give me a break. Basically was what I came to kind of get myself out of that negative spiral. But notice that the question also included positive criticism. Positive. I don't know. Is there such thing as positive criticism? Part of a critique can be praise, and yes, that is great to get praise, especially specific, detailed praise. Again, that it comes from someone that knows what they're talking about. I got a great review of Miki Falls back in the early days from Kirkus Reviews, professional, reviewing magazine, known for being tough and sometimes really burning people, with really harsh reviews. And they loved Miki Falls, and they were using words like masterful and, just things that I don't often see in reviews of my work. And that made me feel great. And I still kind of cling to that review even today, saying, hey, somebody thought I was good. But generally speaking, you have to just sort of stick to your own idea of what is good and what isn't, and try not to get too bummed out. You're never going to please everyone. That is one of the big rules. You'll never please everyone. There will always be people who don't get what you're doing, people who hate what you're doing. And you just have to, try to ignore that and focus on the people who do get what you're doing and do enjoy what you're doing. Let's move on to the last question, and this is kind of a fun one, and it is, when did you begin ending your videos with the phrase, I'll be back with another one real soon? And that was a great question, and it got me wondering, when did I kind of finally fall into using that phrase? I looked back. It took me a while. I had to sort of go through the different videos, and by process of going one at a time and sort of scrolling through to the end, find the one where I first, because I had different variations, and I'll be back real soon with another video or something like that, I'll be back with another video real soon, but take it easy and have a nice day, or whatever. I kept kind of getting close to actually saying it, but never actually saying it. And finally, it seems to me, what is currently my 18th video, although I had to reload it, to get the audio back. It's a video called How to Draw Manga Eyes 4 Different Ways. And I'll put a link here for those who are curious. For this momentous occasion in Krilly history. When did he first say? I'll be back with another one real soon. Oh boy, talk about navel gazing. I'm actually taking this seriously. That was the first video. And I'll put a link there if you want to see where I finally began saying that phrase. And I can't even guarantee that that videos 19, 20, and 21 ended with that phrase. But eventually, of course, I settled into the groove of it. Of winding my videos up and kind of beginning them the same way, right? I always say, hey there, everybody, it's Mark Krilly. I'm back with another How to Draw video. You sort of fall into these different phrases. My trusty black Prismacolor, you know, all these things. I don't know why I do that, but people do seem to enjoy it, and I'm delighted that they do. I'm going to have to do a little bit of time-lapse here to finish up this illustration, and then we're going to do the big unveiling, turning it around to see if I manage to draw my character upside down in a way that looks proportionally good. I'm a little scared because things always get a little distorted when you try to draw them upside down. But let me do a little time-lapse here, and then we will unveil the upside-down drawing. Alright, well, we are almost done. Of course, I'm never completely done until I add the blushies. This is the first time I've ever done them upside down. And I am a little nervous, folks. Here we go, the big turning around moment. Let's see what this thing looks like. Oops. Oh, not too bad, not too bad. A little weird looking. Her face looks a little weird to me, but not too bad. Well, thanks for that challenge. And, you know, I want to apologize because I stopped saying the names of people about halfway through. My apologies to Toontown Love Riffy, Noshin Sakura, Ms. True Pain, Mise Jack, Jordan Lashawn, and YSDQ. I do apologize for not having credited you for your questions. I really enjoyed answering all of them. And thanks so much for watching this video, folks. I'll be back with another one real soon.